Welcome back, everybody, LMU and Pacific. We welcome you here to the top of the 6th inning, where LMU will try to do something about Pacific's 3-0 lead. It's been a good standing so far for the Tigers, as that will be ball one for the first baseman, Laforcier. Laforcier, the first baseman, wearing a number 2, hitting .313 on the season, slugging .343, gets on base about 43% of the time. Shows bunt and pulls back. That'll be ball one. He pulled back in the nick of time there. It was kind of a photo finish there for Andrew Wolverton behind home plate, but made the call.
Third pitcher of the game for LMU is Kyle Mora, the 6'3" right-hander. Redshirt junior out of San Jose in Northern California, falling behind in the count here, 3-0. Jonathan, you told me he throws hard. I'm excited to see it.
He does indeed. It just got to be accurate, and I think that's the ticket here. So we will see how he does as this game progresses. That will be a strike. So finally trying to crawl on back. 3-1 is your count.
Mora's 7th appearance on the year. No record. ERA of .562. 10 strikeouts, 2 walks over 8 innings. Make that 3 walks over 8 innings. Laforcier draws his second of the ball game. The numbers for Mora look excellent. He's another player that appears to have been burned by one bad hit at the wrong time.
Absolutely, as we get Carter Hayes up to bat now, third baseman, wearing at number 3 appropriately.
He's only allowed 9 base runners in his 8 innings coming into this one, but 5 of them have come around and scored.
Oof.
That's a rough percentage. But otherwise, the peripheral numbers look outstanding.
Bunt again for the Lions. And runner will advance, but the sac bunt works. So it'll be out number 1 as Carter Hayes goes down, but Laforcier advances. So Laforcier now sitting comfortably at second. And Carter Hayes has gone out.
Yeah, they're not afraid to drop down the bunts. That's for darn sure so far. That's the 4th bunt attempt, at least, of the ball game. One of them, after 2 strikes, turned into a line out. The other ones have turned into sacrifices, or failed sacrifices.
The strike comes across, and now the Lions hit a batter. So Nate Verlin will be hit square in the back, number 20. Will walk on down to first base. So the second freebie, that pitcher Kyle Mora, wearing number 46. He is a junior. He's had a little bit of experience here in collegiate baseball. His second freebie he's given away, and now a runner in scoring position and one to follow him up at first base as well. Ryan Tyler now checking into the game.
And if you're wondering if there was any sort of ill intent, I don't think so. That appeared to be a runaway slider.
Yeah, Jason Gill does a pretty good job of controlling these guys, and even going with LMU's Jesuit philosophy, I think. So they're all pretty well-rounded gentlemen for both schools, I should say. And Ryan Tyler calls for time, checks back in. Goose eggs on the count, but here comes the first pitch. Mora checks his shoulder, sends one in, a check swing, it'll be ball 1. So runners on first and second, an interesting position, some excitement early on for Kyle Mora. What are you thinking if you're Kyle Mora here on the mound? You've come in, you've only thrown 7 pitches. You've got a runner in scoring position, 1 on first. And you're inching ever closer to the infamous top of the lineup for the Tigers.
My thought is, time to throw some strikes. Fire it down the middle, make them beat you. As we've seen so far, the Tigers doing a fine job putting the ball in play so far today. They've only struck out 1 time, but again, 6 singles. If you don't make a mess for yourself, you're probably not going to give up more than 1 or 2 at a time.
This is true. He does throw a strike, and that'll be strike 2 off the ball that was tipped foul, right behind the head of Andrew Wolverton behind home plate, the official today behind home base. So your count is now 1-2, so Mora getting in front of his first batter today. Or getting in front of a batter for the first time today, I should say. There is some action in the Lions bullpen, so Jason Gill not shying away from using as much of their depth as they can, this being the last game in the series for LMU against Pacific. That one tipped foul on the first base side.
Yeah, of course, after Sundays, things get a little lighter. Midweek game will break things up a little bit. In fact, there's actually a ball game tomorrow and Tuesday. Washington State and UCLA before a couple-day break, and then the Lions head out on the road. They'll play in Portland next weekend before hosting Cal State Bakersfield.
So a couple of tough opponents coming up for LMU. Count remains the same, 1 and 2 batters on first and second, one out.
Yeah, Pac-12 teams.
Absolutely. Little short ball. Mora hopped for it, couldn't get it in time. A throw down to Escara is good. Got him in the nick of time, but the runners both advance. So runners now both in scoring position on second and third.
Yeah, it was a good pitch from Mora. Got in on the hands of Ryan, tied him up, and he hit just a little fluttering line drive that landed halfway between the pitcher's mound and Lambeau out at sort of a shaded second base. The hope there, I think, for the Lions was with the ball in the air briefly, the runners had to hang on. If that ball traveled a little bit farther, Lambeau might have been able to grab it and slap a tag on Verlin going by, but it just wasn't hit hard enough.
So James Arakawa now, the left fielder, looks down strike one. So 2 outs, runners on second and third. A tricky situation here for Kyle Mora, the junior, with the right hand. He's seen his fair share of play here in collegiate baseball, but he's facing a challenge very early on today. Kyle Mora, as Dan mentioned earlier, strike 2 across the plate, 5.19 ERA. He's pitched about 8.2 innings, allowed 7 hits and 5 runs. Struck out 10 batters, but walked 3.
Yeah, his stuff is so good. So when he's sort of inching around the edges of the plate, you figure, go get him.
That one way high for ball 1.
That's the thing about baseball. If you've got good stuff, you just have to maintain confidence. The only thing that can really get in your way is either one, throwing it right down the middle, or walking people. And for a guy like Mora, who's throwing hard, got swing and miss stuff, you just got to throw it even close to his target, and he'll be in okay shape.
There's some solid contact there. Goes right between Lambeau and Escara. Another runner will score. Will it be 2 for the Tigers? Yes, it will. Cooper Ewell tries to throw it at third, and he'll get him, but 2 runs will score. In the meantime, Pacific goes up by 2 more. 5-0. At the end of the frame, we'll see a right back for the bottom of the 6th. Stay tuned. You're watching Lions Baseball on the LMU Sports Network and the W.TV, powered by Watch Stadium. Does get on the board. Wyatt Hoffman now batting the last batter in the batting order for the Pacific Tigers. He's batting .267 on the season with the right hand. He's a sophomore, 1 for 2 today. Bot fly to right field. It was his first at bat, and then a successful run scored after a base hit. It'll be strike 1 off the first pitch. Kyle Mora still on the mound.
I suppose we're at the point of this game where we can bring up the idea of the sweep, because it's now seeming like it'll require a pretty good comeback. Not an undoable one, but it's hard, Jonathan, to sweep a team. Lions have done it now. Trying to do it again, you sort of get a different effort out of a team when their backs are against the wall.
This is true, and you know, it is interesting because I think in this scenario, both teams do have their backs against the wall. I think in different circumstances, albeit. I think Pacific obviously going down 2-0 in this weekend series as they made the long trek down here, and LMU trailing by quite a bit more than they'd be comfortable with. Pop fly, Cooper Ewell tries to chase it down. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Out number 1.
Wow.
The catcher showing his stuff on that one. Nicely done by Cooper Ewell.
Yeah, if the play can be made, Cooper's going to make it. I have to admit, off the bat, I thought that thing for sure was going to get into the crowd a couple rows deep. And it's quite conceivable that that breeze coming out of right field may have straightened out the foul ball again. Even one coming almost straight back into our right.
So Keaton Glover now at the top of the order. Solid contact there to center field. And no problem there for Ben Grunberg. Hit again on his horse a little bit, but a quick 1-2 for LMU.
Yeah, that's what the doctor ordered. 2 outs on 2 pitches in a row. That was a nice play. And again, that's one where if the wind isn't blowing, that probably slices to Delgado. But another one straightened out by the breeze as it gets up and over the tree line. And Grunberg, he said it, he had to leg that thing out.
Kevin Sandry now, number 8, the right-hander, the senior, looks down strike one, hitting .270 on the season. This is his 4th at-bat. All of the 3 previous have been successful. All on base hits, 2 have resulted in RBIs. So Kyle Mora, who's facing him for the first time this afternoon, will have his hands full. Even count now at 1-1. So 2 outs, top of the 7th. Defensively, this is looking good for the Lions, Dan, trying to get back to their offense as quick as possible. And of course, I'm sure Kyle Mora's arm thanking him a little bit there, that 2 outs on 2 pitches. That will be his 22nd pitch that comes across the plate as ball number 2. So 2-1 is your count. Top of 7, no runners on, 2 outs. 5-1 is your score. LMU playing catch up in this one. They inched a little bit closer there off the last frame. And they did score their first run. Ooh, a little head hunting there. And Kevin Sandry had to play dodgeball momentarily as he got out of the way of that one.
Well, they haven't gotten him yet in this ball game. Maybe trying to make him a tiny bit uncomfortable, pitch him inside a little. But now, of course, the 3-1 count, you put yourself in the hole in a different way.
Yeah, that was quite a bit inside. And that time it hits him. So a little bit too much inside there for Kyle Mora, who's probably, I assume, going to get a little bit of a visit here from Cooper Ewell. If not just a few exchange of words. But now James Free comes up, so if there's a time to take a deep breath and compose yourself, it would be now. With a runner on base and a big hitter like James Free, who has not had the game he would have expected. He's 0 for 3 today in his 4th at-bat. Now he's electing to switch on over to the left hand.
That's right, facing the first right-hander in Mora. Lions had gone with back-to-back southpaws to begin the ball game. It's interesting that the Tigers have been able to put together this type of offensive attack without James Free doing anything today. They've been pretty reliant on him for their offense at this point in the year, but taking him out of the equation, just sort of dinking and doinking their way to 7 singles. Slap it the other way, ground it through a hole, put the ball in play and see what happens. It's the magic of putting it in play. Only 1 strikeout for Lions pitching this afternoon. And if enough guys just hit the ball, eventually it's going to find a hole.
And you know, Dan, I think the Lions looking just a little bit more winded today than the Tigers. Not quite sure what it is. It is one of the nicer, sunnier days we've had in a while, so a beautiful day for baseball. It's pretty picturesque, actually, today here in the marina. And James Free
it is
behind the count now.
Subtle, by the way. I know it's not a bad spot to be down here.
Absolutely. Runner goes. Cooper Ewell throwing to second. He'll miss. Runner will advance to third and maybe more. Let's see if LMU can hold him at 3. They will. So an error there by Cooper Ewell, who threw way to the right.
Yeah, it was a big running start for Kevin Sandry. Might have been best to just put that one in the pocket. Ewell, say, forced the throw, but he certainly tried to pull it off a little extra quick, and it got away from him. So the stolen base really coming off of Mora, and then the error, moving the runner down to third.
So Kevin Sandry having to do minimal work there to get to 3. He's trying to get Kyle Mora to think about it as he stared right at him and then lunged like he was going to go home.
By the way, the point I was making before was that Jonathan lives down here, and he's just trying to rub it in all of your faces what a, what a lovely spot he's got. It really is. It's fantastic.
We are very, very lucky down here at LMU. It is a beautiful campus, a beautiful school. The people here are second to none as James Free, 0 for 4 today, uncharacteristic of him, but he goes down, and LMU stays out of trouble. So we will be heading now to the next frame. Stay tuned. You're watching Lions Baseball on the LMU Sports Network and the W.TV, powered by Watch Stadium. We'll be right back.
Stretch time.